This one is going to be great. 10 minutes plus 2 laps. Lee, all the riders are going to have a proper shootout out there.
They sure are, and I'm wondering who is going to come out on top here. We've already spoken about how important the drop of the gate is and the whole shot, just 25 metres to the first turn. These riders, they're in anticipation. They're wondering who's going to come out on top. We know that Jordi Tixier came out on top with the fastest lap time in every single practice session and qualifying session.
And interesting to note, none of the riders on the opposite side. 5 seconds to go, Lee. This one is going to be huge.
All right, riders, anticipation. They are ready to go. Look down at the gate and let's watch for the drop of the gate and who will get the important hole shot. Jordi Tixier out of turn number 1. He has rocketed out of the gate and he will lead them off. Riders so close to each other.
But it's not been a good start for Thomas Rumet. He's dropped down all the way to P4. But it's Jordi Tixier for BB Racing who has the lead. And Matt Moss, the Aussie, has got an incredible start right there. But there's chaos in the background.
Matt Moss on board the Big Rock Motorsports Kawasaki machine. He has got the ex-world champion in tow. And he does not want to let him go. This section here, triple. If you cannot get that rhythm section dialed, you're going to lose so much time.
And now it's Jordi Tixier aboard that red BB Racing Honda who has absolutely steamrolled his way past. He was first in all 3 practice sessions and also in qualifying, and he's clearly out there showcasing why he's known as being one of the best of the very best. But the rhythm, that's the best part about him. He just seems to be like a poetry in motion, is he not?
Now, just a fortnight ago, Samil, he was up on the podium at the King of Dortmund in Germany, which is one of the world's biggest Supercrosses event. As we can see now, he's already starting to stretch out a little bit of a lead over Australian Matt Moss, where Matt Moss is starting to come under fire from number 206, Thomas Rumet, on board the Rise Motorsports Kawasaki machine. So a battle starting to erupt a little bit. Just as we say that, Moss starts to stretch it out ever so slightly.
And this battle is going to be ever so fun because Matt Moss aboard that green Kawasaki that he saw in P2. He qualified 3rd in this race, but eventually he's gained 1 position on Thomas Rumet as they, of course, lined up on the grid. And here's Matt Moss right here, 9-time Australian Supercross champion, already closing up the gap, actually extending the gap quite a fair bit to Thomas Rumet right now.
Now, this is the first of 2 races for the 450cc international class. Now, both of their races will accumulate for points, which is all important for them to try to get the overall here at round 1. But let's not forget, each of these riders out there at the moment, they all represent their own franchise, and at the very end of the night, they will meet each other once again in the All-Stars race. So far, Jordi Tixier is showing everybody a clean set of heels at the head of the pack, riding for BB Racing.
And with that as it stands, he would take home a total of 20 points. And over the course of the 3 races he'll be competing in, that would mean quite a lot. But here's a big battle to watch out for. That seems to be Cedric Supercross closing up on Thomas Rumet. Both the Rise Motorsports riders and Big Rock Motorsport having quite a battle already.
Supercross all over the back of Rumet. As we mentioned earlier, Cedric Supercross just won the King of Dortmund Supercross a fortnight ago. So he carries the most amount of momentum into this race here. Round 1 at Pune. A beautiful shot of Matt Moss on board the Big Rock Motorsports Kawasaki as he landed seated there. As we have a little bit of a look at a replay here at the start, and what a beautiful tip into the first turn it was for number 911 Jordi Tixier on board the BB Racing Honda.
And it was interesting, Matt Moss in that green Kawasaki for Big Rock Motorsport, he actually kind of got a better run on the exit, and Thomas Rumet in that Rise Motorsports bike could not do anything. And after that, Matt Moss using all of his experience to just pull away from the field. But as it stands, Thomas Rumet in that yellow Rise leading bike is under pressure from Cedric Supercross. This battle is getting ever so close.
A fantastic battle we're seeing a little bit further on in the pack. However, our race leader with a 37.9, our only rider to make it down into the 37 so far in this race. Matt Moss back there in second. He's got himself a 38.6, and Thomas Rumet with a 38.7. So very similar times. There's about 5 or 6 of our riders who are in the 38s. Only one has made it down into the 37s.
What seems to work for Jordi Lee? Because coming in, right, first couple of laps, you expect all these riders with all their experience to be quite fast, but Jordi instantly being almost a second faster. What is he doing differently?
Well, I would have to say that Supercross carried the momentum coming into this race. However, you only have to look at the 3 practice sessions we've had. We've had 2 normal practice sessions and 1 for time qualifying, which designates how you select your starting grid down for the first race. And every single time they've gone out, Jordi Tixier has been fastest. And that's when you know you're having a good weekend.
Taking a quick look at Anthony Reynard right now, racing for the SG Speed Racers team. He's not had a good day so far as he languishes all the way back in P12. But this guy is absolutely smooth all the way through, going past this longest jump right here. Almost 25 meters, is it not?
Now, Sunil, as we can see, if we look closely at the track at the moment, you'll see that there's nice bits of dirt, like coming out of that corner there. There's a darker color. As we can see right now, it's shiny. You can almost see your reflection in the dirt. Yep. Now, that tells you it's exceptionally slippery. These bikes, 450cc categories, they have so much horsepower. We're talking up around 62, 63 horsepower. So in order to get fast around this track, you need to have very smooth throttle control.
And also a great degree of core strength, no? Because they're constantly jumping around and taking these corners at some incredible speeds. Any normal person like you and me, we'd probably fall off. Not you and me, you are a multiple-time Australian Supercross champion, but any normal person, quite like I am, would just fall off instantly at these fast corners, quite like this one. But Jordi Tixier, the kind of core strength that he and all the other riders have, I think that's what makes them superhumans, isn't it?
Well, for me, it was many moons ago that I was out there racing Supercross, so I think I may have forgotten how to do it. But exceptional job we are seeing from Jordi Tixier, representing his BB Racing franchise. Now, we have just ticked over 5 minutes, which means we are over halfway. Let's not forget, 10 minutes plus 2 laps, the duration, as Jordi Tixier continues to stretch out the gap, which is now over 5 seconds between himself and Matt Moss, who continues to put in a fantastic race here. Cedric Subaros back in 3rd place on board the Big Rock Motorsports Kawasaki has made his way through the field very nicely.
And let's talk about Big Rock Motorsports for a second. They've got 2 of their riders in the top 3. This is going to be absolutely fantastic for them, because as it stands, they take home a huge heap of points for the entire team's championship. That's also going to be a major factor. 2 and 3, that's the best place for them to be right now.
Correct, and BB Racing will take fantastic points there up at the head of the pack. Let's not forget Thomas Ramet back there. He is representing Rise Motorsports. Charles Lefrancois, someone that we haven't mentioned yet, is rounding out our top 5. And then we see our American Tyler Bowers, who, for someone who hasn't raced at a professional level for such a very long time, is doing a terrific job there in 6th place.
For context, Big Rock Motorsports are going to be taking in roughly 32 points right now. BB Racing, not more than 22. That's going to be a big one. Even though their rider is winning the race, in terms of the team's championship, that is not ideal. That is the entire name of the game in the C8 Indian Supercross Racing League. We're not going to be having a Riders' Championship. This is a proper team sport. So even though Jordi Tixier and the 911 bike might be the leader right now, it's Big Rock Motorsport in P2 and 3 that are taking home the most points from this race.
Well, Samil, the big story here is, unfortunately for our race leader, Jordi Tixier, and his team, BB Racing, he lost his teammate, Michael Kartenberg from Germany. He had a massive crash yesterday in time qualifying, and he's unable to be out there earning any points for his franchise.
And that is quite a disappointing thing for them. The only thing they can do right now, maximize points with their star rider, Jordi Tixier. And that is precisely what's been happening at this moment in time. But I see a little bit of inter-team battling.
Yeah, and a nice little wave there. So that's a gesture that we just saw from Cedric Subaros. We actually didn't see the passing move being made. However, that little wave of the hand there was a, hey, we're all good. Teammates, I apologize, whatever happened, but we don't know what happened. So let's hope they've kept it nice and clean amongst the Big Rock teammates.
And in the middle of such an intensely physical race, just being able to have the thinking power to allow your teammates to go past and then to be able to communicate with them as well, that takes some superhuman level of brain processing. But the thing is, they've been doing this for almost, what, 20 odd years now. The average age of this entire grid, 31 years old, and most of them, Lee, they started at what, 7, 8, even earlier, some of them in fact.
Yeah, a lot of these riders have done a very substantial junior career and spent a lot of time racing around the world as a junior turned senior, where these guys start to make money and they make it their profession. And that's where you're seeing these guys at their best. we just touch base a little bit further down the field. We mentioned Tyler Bowers now has moved down to 6th place. Bowers riding for the Gujarat Trailblazers, and it's Charles Lefrancois riding for Mahites, who has managed to bump himself up into 5th place. Great job for him. Paul Haviland, Lorenzo Camparese, the Italian, Nico Koch from out of Germany, they round out our top 9, and Jake Preston from the UK is in 10th place.
Only 30 seconds to go for the timer to run out, and after that we're going to have 2 more complete laps. The way it works is, if you are the leader and you end up crossing the timer at 9 minutes 59 seconds, it doesn't matter. You've got to do that lap and then 2 more laps. However, on the lap that you complete 10 minutes done, after that one we're going to have 2 more laps of racing. So we're just waiting to watch when Jordi Tixier crosses the line after the timer goes down to 10 minutes, and after that we're going to have 2 final laps for him to complete, and for all the others as well. And those 2 final laps, Lee, that's where the pressure must really be on for all these other ones.
The pressure rises then. Now for our viewers at home, let's paint the picture here, Samil. We have Cedric Subaros, who's made his way up into 2nd place. Now, as I said, he's just come off a fantastic win at the King of Dortmund. He is the rider with the momentum coming in here to round 1 at Pune. Now Jordi Tixier is in 1st place. If positions remain the same as we expect them to do at the moment, and while I say that, Subaros is starting to take some time out of our race leader, let's predict that at the next race, the 2nd race for the 450 International, if they swap positions, it will be Subaros, even though they're equal on points, that will take the overall based off a countback.
Absolutely, and with that we've only got a couple of more laps left to go. When Jordi Tixier crosses the finish line with that huge jump that we've got right there, we will only have 1 final lap. And in terms of battles, I'm kind of surprised that it's actually spread out that fair bit, because in practice, Lee, we saw all these riders being so close to each other, but this guy, well, he has been a class apart. In fact, he's lapping some of the riders. In a 10-minute race, Jordi Tixier has actually done 1 more lap than some of the other riders behind him. What has he eaten for breakfast?
Well, 1 lap to go for Jordi Tixier, and that gap between himself back to Cedric Subaros has remained the same. It's 6.9 seconds, so the charge that we were seeing from Cedric Subaros has settled down ever so slightly. I think you would have to say that he has settled for 2nd place. But a nice little wave to the crowd there. Our race leader and almost race winner, Jordi Tixier, on board the BB Honda machine, lights the candles here in race 1. What an amazing ride for the Frenchman, number 911, on board the BBR Honda.
And there, ladies and gentlemen, you have your first ever winner in the history of the C8 Supercross, Indian Supercross Racing League. It is Jordi Tixier from France, the 32-year-old rider who's been a former MX2 world champion, but now he's already setting his sights on the championship right here, winning for Team BB Racing.
And definitely showing a bit of love for the crowd here at Pune. Tixier giving a little bit of a wave up to the fans in the crowd. Subaros back there in 2nd place, but Matt Moss stayed relatively close, only 0.2 of a second back to his teammate. So as you mentioned, some fantastic points scored for the Big Rock Motorsports franchise here in the first of the 450 races.
32 points for Big Rock Motorsport. Well, however, BB Racing don't get any more than 22, and that is going to be quite a blow for them, even though their rider has won the race. This sort of a bittersweet feeling is going to be there throughout, because you need both your riders to be up there, and that unfortunately couldn't quite happen for them. But let's focus on the positives. Let's focus on the big result that they've got right here. Let's focus on this guy. First ever winner in the championship's history. Jordi Tixier, he's been a class apart.
He sure has, as we're having a little bit of a close-up look of the rear end of the Honda there. I'm not sure if something's come a little bit loose, but I think no doubt Tixier may have felt something with that bike that needs to have a little bit of attention done to it. So if that's the case, and he's still managed to win the race with a little bit of a mechanical issue going on, what a fantastic effort from the Frenchman, who was starting to come under some pressure from Cedric Subaros.
And by the way, folks, he ended up winning this race by 5.9 seconds. For context, an average lap in this race is roughly, what, 37 odd seconds? To win by 5 seconds in a race that's only lasted 11.5 minutes takes some doing. Jordi Tixier flying high and getting the biggest points haul for any rider in the first race.